What is up, guys? The Strong Boys 19 here. So this is going to be quite an inspired video that I had done some years ago, but this is going to be my newest, later expansion of my favorite double albums, and I'm going to show you them from my no particular order pile of records. There are some that I love that I don't have on CD or on vinyl. This does not include live albums, just these studio albums, whether it's just, albums as they are or soundtracks to whatever. On any genre, let's dive into it. First one, Targa Margot by Kin. This is the one that started it all for me when I was diving into the genre of krautrock, a remaster on Spoon. I still love this album so much. The next one, Washing Machine from Sonic Youth. The 2015 Geffen remaster is beautiful. Great album. One of my favourite double albums of all time. The Diamond Sea is my favourite track from the band, and a lot of the fans say Daydream Nation. Well, I think Washing Machine beats it. That album is great too, but I think Dirty is another favourite for me that I would play over Daydream Nation. Classic stuff. Two records from Peter Gabriel. Us. I had revisited this not too long ago. It's still my favourite. It is beautiful. It is emotional, very percussive. It's really his best record yet. But a lot of the people say So is his best because it's his most popular. But I think I prefer a few others over that one, like Melt. But this is very underrated that I love. And Passion, just one of the greatest top 5 soundtracks of all time that you need to hear. This is an original on the Real World label, Gabriel's record label at the time. It still is. No one would take over the legendary label. This music is pure beauty. The soundtrack for The Last Temptation of Christ, a Martin Scorsese film. Highly recommend this double album. The next double album is Old Dirty Bastard, Return to the 36 Chambers, the dirty version. And this one always, puts me on a great mood because it's so funny in places. It is humorous, but it's really quite hyper. My favourite member from the Wu-Tang Clan. Who doesn't know them? This is the remaster on Music on Vinyl. Rolling Stones, Exile on Main Street. And I have already done my review of this album, some years back. This is still one of the greatest and one of the most raw sounding albums in rock. My favourite double album of all time, Quadrophenia from The Who, just one of my top 10 all-time favourite albums. Seriously, one of those records that no words needed, because a lot of The Who's fans would say that this is one of their greatest achievements, and it is for me. This album defines Pete Townshend, along with the rest of the bands that are at their greatest in their performances. It just brings back a lot of memories for me. Now, the next album, I had played this one so much. I was heavily thinking about it. The tone of the album to the inspiration. It was from a record that I really grew to love immensely. It's very underappreciated and possibly the most controversial record from this band. Tales from Topographic Oceans by Yes. And also, I would like to do a video on part 2 of my favourite underrated classic albums obviously this one would be in the pile, but I will say more opinions about this album whenever that video comes. A couple records from Mr. Bob Dylan, Blonde on Blonde. Again, there's no words needed. Everyone has said their thoughts about this album. This is the mono remaster from 2010, music on vinyl, and the basement tapes with the band. Absolutely one of those records that is so, quite humorous and it's just fun to listen to. But the band with Bob Dylan, absolutely one of the best combinations. The next record is The Wall by Pink Floyd. A record that I still say that it's overrated, but this is still fantastic. The amazing artwork from Gerald Scarfe, and still one of the top 10 favourite Pink Floyd albums. Another album by The Who that is a double album, you know it, Tommy. This is another classic, just one of my big favourite early double albums. Tangerine Dream, Xate. Sometimes this is a record that many fans would dismiss, but this is really slow. A really slow, heavily dark drone album. But this is, to me, one of their best. Though it took me some time to absorb this record. My favourites being Force Majeure and Rubicon. But in terms of the earlier Tangerine Dream, this is one of my favourites. Stevie Wonder, Songs in the Key of Life. This also contains the booklet and the single that's inside one of these sleeves. A legend in his own way. That's all I would say about that. Made other classic albums. I love Talking Book as well. Although Superstition is really overplayed, but it is still a great song. Soft Machine Third, beautiful remaster. I still have one of those other UK pressings of it. It was just, not a great experience. It was really crackly. And Slightly All the Time was just, full of the crackles. It pissed me off. But that's why I decided to buy this remaster, and it did get the job done. A beautiful, quintessential jazz fusion masterpiece. The next album, so relevant and important for the country's state. Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly. I don't need to say anything. A lot of people have raved about this, and I've already said my opinions about this album. From my video where I said albums I consider to be the best of the decade. The next album, The X Factor by Iron Maiden. It's still my favourite Iron Maiden album. This is a true Maiden album. For those of you that really don't like this album, try it again. Play this again and, look back at it and try to absorb it. But if you are a Maiden fan, and if you are just not a fan, then that's no problem. But for the haters, you don't understand. Blaze Bayley is a very underrated singer that deserves a lot of the love, and his solo stuff is awesome as well. This next album, this one was a record that I am growing to really dive into it better and better and better. I really think it's a good album for what it was, but the more I listened to it, the more I came back to the band after the news of their reunion. Well, half of the band, really. This one took me by surprise by how much I absorbed it that much. The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway by Genesis. As Peter Gabriel said, that it takes your own interpretation and experience to, think about the concept. One of the strangest that I've ever heard. And it can be complicated but this is one of my favorite Genesis albums, and I absolutely love some of the songs on here. The title track, The Waiting Room, The Carpet Crawlers, to It, and In the Cage, The Colony of Slippermen. There's so many great songs. I don't want to say anything about this one. Metal Machine Music. This is the original pressing on the RCA label. That's all I would like to say. The River by Bruce Springsteen. Fantastic album. Has some of his greatest songs. I haven't listened to his stuff for ages, for a few years really. But this album is really great stuff. Trout Mask Replica, Captain Beefheart and his Magic Band always stays in the pile, though it still challenges many people's ear holes. But this one is very polyrhythmic. It's very bluesy, the more you think about it. Besides the very frantic, not tight and loose jams. Trout Mask Replica is Captain Beefheart's essential piece of work. A masterpiece. Next album, very important for me and influential for many, but this one means a lot to me to think about the sound and to improvise and hear his playing on the guitar and to learn from the master. Electric Ladyland, beautiful remaster on the 2010 remasters from the Hendrix license. Another album that's obvious, the Beatles' White Album. This is the 2009 remaster. I do have the 50th anniversary vinyl box set. So this one took me some time to love this as much as the other ones. Now this one is like, it does have some live recordings, but it's mostly studio. I have to put it in. The Allman Brothers Band, Eat a Peach. This is still one of the greatest that I've ever listened to. Beautiful playing on the electric guitars to the jams. So much soul and, amazing performances. I could go on about this album. I was so thrilled to have this album in the collection because I really wanted it for so long. For me, they're best. And the last one, which is going to be 50 years old on the 20th, Bitches Brew by Miles Davis. I'm not going to say so much about this because I will be doing a review of this album. There's so many things I could say about it. I adore the artwork as well. I will do like a proper in-depth review on why this album is one of the classics and how much it means a lot to me. So that's it, guys. That's my video on my expanded list so far of my favorite double albums. Please let me know what you think of it, and if you have any double album favorites that you want to share in the comments below, please do. It's a beautiful feeling to think about records and to feel the vibe. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.